Selected ones. The people who appear to know something that the rest of us do not are the biggest mysteries in life, not the stars in the sky. People don't know whether to fear you, admire you, or just stare in awe of you. Chosen ones. You are a living mystery. You are like to that one TV show episode that everyone talks about, but nobody really comprehends. Here's a fact. Research has shown that people automatically attempt to classify new acquaintances within 7 seconds of meeting them. However, when you do this, 7 seconds can quickly turn into 7 hours of over-analyzing. Why? You're not simply unconventional. You've tossed the box away and created something completely different because you don't fit the template. They wonder if it's the alien technology, the mystique, or your confidence that makes your presence feel different. Who knows? They only know that you don't live up to their standards, and in our world of standardized routines and excessively shared photos, it drives them crazy. Some people will interpret your presence as conceit, since it's simpler for them to think you're overconfident than to face the reality that your confidence reveals their own lack of it. People will avoid you out of admiration rather than fear. They don't often encounter someone whose confidence demands attention, despite whispering rather than shouting. People are pulled to you for reasons they cannot explain, but your energy is both captivating and scary. Your energy has an unspoken quality that captivates and perplexes people. It's not simply about your appearance, charisma, or talent. You possess a silent, unseen influence that makes others rethink how they should approach you. It's just who you are, not that you try to scare people. When you enter a room, the air feels different all of a sudden. People can't describe this change, but they sense it in their stomachs. This contradictory energy of yours keeps others at a distance while arousing curiosity. They want to know you, but they're hesitant because they're not sure if they're ready for what they might find. It makes you irresistible, but it also irritates them. This is your moment. Hit subscribe now and step into something greater. Don't miss out. You reflect their underlying fears. It's like holding up a mirror when you're around, and not everyone is prepared for what they see. Your very presence is enough to evoke strong emotions in others. You don't even need to talk or do much. You don't deliberately aim to point out people's shortcomings, but you inadvertently bring to light things they've been trying to conceal from the public and possibly even from themselves. People are reacting to what you bring out in them, not to you, which is why their reactions to you are so varied. You are a reflection of their hidden anxieties, their buried dreams, and their insecurities. A person, you are the city on a hill that cannot be hidden. Matthew 5:14. Darling, let me tell you something mighty true today. You are like that lamp set on a stand. You don't even try to shine, but you light up the whole room anyway. That glow, that's not noise, that's not flash. It's divine fire. You were called, not made, and when the called walk into a room, those who have only ever performed confidence start to tremble. Not because you said anything, not because you tried to prove a point, but because your stillness whispers, there's more. You walk in grace, not arrogance, but that grace, oh, it cuts, not like a sword, but like a mirror. Some folks look into you and see what they could have been. That's a hard truth. And when people aren't ready to rise, they either run or they rage. Now hear me. Some will respect you deeply, but won't ever get too close. Not because you hurt them, but because being near you means confronting the fact that they stopped growing a long time ago. Others, they'll pick you apart, criticize your every move, not because you're wrong, but because if they can shrink you, they won't have to feel small. And baby, there's another kind, the ones who cling. They see your strength and hope it'll patch up the cracks in their soul. They don't mean no harm, but they'll try to drink from a well they were supposed to dig for themselves. That'll tire you out if you ain't careful. You're not their savior, you just reflect the light of one. See, when God sets someone apart, He don't ask the world for permission. He don't need applause, credentials, or validation. He breathes purpose into bones, and suddenly, someone like you stands up. And just by walking tall, you make the shaky ones question the ground they're standing on. You're not too much, sugar. You're just walking in a fullness others forgot they had. Keep going. Keep glowing. Let 'em be uncomfortable. Sometimes it's the only way folks wake up. Amen and amen. Unwritten rules are broken by your achievement. People don't expect you to succeed. While others follow methodical formulas or slog through predictable courses, you appear to completely circumvent the rules. You simply have a way of accomplishing things that seems effortless, even when it isn't. It's not that you don't work hard. People are unable to comprehend how you continue to advance without following the path that society has prescribed for you. They are more irritated by the fact that you seem to be operating under your own set of rules than they will acknowledge. The thing that most perplexes them is how you advance in ways they didn't believe were feasible. You're over here destroying those systems or demonstrating that you don't need them in the first place, while they're trapped in inflexible systems. You might follow your gut, take unorthodox chances, or just live your life with an inventiveness they can't match. It appears to them to be luck, but you know that it's alignment, not luck. You're aware of something more profound that directs your choices and constantly brings you to the correct doors. Doors they were unaware existed. Success isn't taught this way. Instead, people expect logical reasoning, sequential stages, and obvious effort. They are uncomfortable when they don't perceive those qualities in you. Others may think you've had an unfair advantage because it's simpler to do that than to acknowledge that their strategy may be incorrect. Still others will respect you and try to figure out how you do it. However, the reality is that your approach to success contradicts all of their beliefs of control, justice, and work. Because you don't fit in, stability is at risk. People are more uneasy with you living on your terms than you think. Everyone feels that the world makes sense since society is based on unspoken laws and dependable behavioral patterns. The majority of people blindly obey those norms because they feel more at ease blending in and doing what is required of them. However, they feel disorganized because you've never been one to fit in. Thought patterns don't follow the script for you. You question things that others take for granted, reject concepts that don't appeal to you, and recognize possibilities that others miss. You're not deliberately rebellious. It's just that you've never understood the logic of mindless compliance. Your initial reaction when someone says, "This is the way it's done," is to ask, why? Your decisions in life also reflect this reluctance to follow the crowd. You choose your own route, whether it's a career that everyone said wasn't realistic, a relationship that doesn't fit the pattern, or the choice to put happiness above appearances, while others strive for traditional success, climbing the career ladder, crossing off social milestones. Whatever it is, people are uncomfortable because it doesn't fit into the tidy classifications they are accustomed to. It's what your nonconformity stands for, not just that you don't want to fit in. People are forced to consider if those lines are actually required when you cross them. They're not prepared to hear the truths you tell them. You don't merely converse for the sake of conversing. Your words have weight because they include truth, not the sort that is veiled to make others feel good, but the kind that is unvarnished, unadulterated, and unquestionable. Speaking is like a laser piercing through fog. You express opinions that most people are too scared to acknowledge, even to themselves. It's just that you can't stand denial or pretense, not because you like to be confrontational. The irony is that people frequently ask for honesty, but what they truly want is reassurance. They don't want the harsh realities you present. They want truths that perfectly fit into their worldview. Therefore, it may seem as though you've dropped a bombshell in the middle of their meticulously planned life when you speak. Whether it's a defective belief system, a poisonous relationship, or their own unrealized potential, it compels individuals to face what they've been avoiding. Some individuals are really appreciative of your candor because they realize that despite the discomfort, what you have to say is precisely what they needed to hear. On the other hand, others feel vulnerable or even assaulted, since your truth dispels the false beliefs they have based their entire existence on. They would rather call you too much or harsh than confront the more profound lesson you're trying to deliver. However, the drawback of being honest is that you frequently bear the consequences of their responses. Even though your comments aren't meant to offend someone, they can occasionally feel like a slap in the face because they're true, not because they're harsh. The truth has a way of making people change, whether they like it or not. In a society that is fixated on trends, you radiate ageless style. You are unique in a world that is always searching for the next big thing. Fashion, slang, and the newest technology are all fads, but none of them define you. You seem to have connected with something more profound than the superficial noise, while others are trying to stay relevant by adjusting to every new fad. You simply don't see the sense in committing to things that won't matter in the future. It's not that you're indifferent to change. People find it difficult to describe the timeless quality of you. It manifests itself in your thoughts, your mannerisms, and your interactions with others. You seem to have inherited knowledge from a source that most others haven't even thought of, and your beliefs, opinions, and decisions seem to be grounded in something far older and wiser. Because you don't seem to be reading from the same script as everyone else, this depth makes you both fascinating and elusive. You are a silent rebel in a culture that is fixated on trends. While others gauge success by likes, shares, and short-lived applause, you prioritize substance. Things that last beyond the moment, connections that last, pursuing meaningful dreams, and authenticity over appearances. This makes you memorable, but it doesn't always make you the life of the party. Your depth of feeling is unprecedented. You do more than simply feel emotions. You delve into them, fearlessly probing the depths that most others shun. You allow yourself to feel everything completely, while others only touch the surface, living on autopilot or ignoring their emotions. For you, joy is more than simply enjoyment. It's a deep, nearly spiritual bond with life. Sadness is a place to develop, learn, and gain a deeper understanding of who you are, not a place to run away from. People frequently don't know how to deal with this intensity, which makes you stand out. You can connect with others in ways they're not accustomed to because of your depth of feeling. Listening is more than simply using your ears. It involves using your entire being. You can detect unspoken phrases, subtle tone changes, and feelings that the person isn't even aware they are conveying. Their soul appears before they have had a chance to protect it. Some find this reassuring, even restorative, while others find it unsettling since they're not used to being so visible, particularly in a society where emotional distance is sometimes confused with strength. This depth encompasses more than just other people. It also includes how you handle your own inner life. You aren't scared to struggle with questions that most others ignore, to sit with discomfort, or to face harsh realities. Though sometimes misinterpreted, this makes you intelligent beyond your years. Unaware that what they're witnessing is courage, the guts to feel strongly in a society that promotes numbness. Some people may characterize you as too sensitive or emotional. You stand out because of your uncommon emotional depth. You enjoy the tumult of emotions, where most people would never consider looking, while others steer clear of it. This is your moment. Hit subscribe now and step into something greater. Don't miss out. Labels and definitions don't apply to you. People are drawn to labels because they simplify life, allowing others to anticipate behavior, draw conclusions, and feel in control of the situation. However, you don't cleanly fit into any of those categories. You are a walking paradox, which many find both interesting and irritating. Your personality, choices, and even contradictions make it tough for anybody to pin you down. You may appear fiercely independent one minute and incredibly connected to others the next. You're fun in ways that surprise people, yet you can also be serious when necessary. They never understand that you are both, and more, as they attempt to determine if you are this or that. You're just being real, and authenticity has no one definition. So it's not that you're attempting to be unpredictable. This intricacy is increased by your decisions. You neither deliberately defy nor follow trends. You just do what seems right for you, even if it doesn't match what other people think. You don't try to prove anything or make a statement. People who depend on patterns and classifications find this confusing because they want to know what you're going to do next, but you keep them guessing. Not because you're secretive, but rather because you don't follow other people's plans for your life. They are challenged by this resistance to labels, which makes them consider why they need such labels in the first place, and to examine their own propensity to categorize others. They find it disturbing, because if you can live without being labeled, then perhaps they can, which is a terrible idea for people who have dedicated their entire lives to fitting in. Without attempting, you question the current quo. Your very presence upends the existing quo in ways that most people can't even articulate. You don't need to speak up or create a big commotion to do so. You just refuse to settle while others take the well-worn routes of conformity, following the rules and doing what they are told. You reveal the flaws in the systems that people take for granted without even trying. People can be persuaded to reconsider their beliefs by your acts, or perhaps even by your quiet, without the need for protests or spectacular speeches. Just by being yourself, you have the ability to draw attention to the shortcomings of conventional institutions. You don't live within the limitations that other people consider essential. Everything you do, whether it's your attitude, relationships, or even your profession, exudes a subdued rebellion. You allow your presence to be the challenge rather than fighting the system. Those who are still attempting to follow the plan are subtly uneasy about this. They begin to wonder if their lives are as fulfilling as they had believed. Even your silence can be revolutionary. You show the value of self-control and introspection, while others fill the air with meaningless noise. You don't rush to respond to inquiries or join in on the pointless conversation going on around you, which is annoying in and of itself. Your composed unwillingness to join the herd is a wake-up call, even if others aren't aware of it. Simply by refusing to accept mediocrity or settling for what's easy, you already make a difference. You don't need to put forth much effort to do so. You arouse more than admiration, obsession. Your presence arouses a profound, almost compulsive response rather than just adoration. You can't just have people who don't care about you. They either love you with an almost obsessive zeal, or they hate you just as fiercely. It's as though you arouse something within them that, despite their best efforts, they are unable to ignore. Some people see you as the embodiment of everything they want to be: self-assured, genuine, and unapologetic. Others see you as a mirror they'd prefer not to gaze into, so they react negatively in order to shield their own fears. There are drawbacks to this kind of magnetism. It's tiring to live in a society where everyone either loves you or hates you, frequently with no intermediate ground. People who love you want every part of you, every word, every decision, not simply your presence. And those who don't like you are obsessed with analyzing every action you take, attempting to understand your motivations, and looking for any excuse to undermine you. This duality is an indication of your power, since it shows that you are reaching deep inside them when you elicit such intense responses. You are both strong and vulnerable at the same time. On the one hand, you represent strength, a quiet, unwavering strength that doesn't require ostentation, but not the kind that seeks attention or is always trying to prove anything. Resilience and strength are communicated by your very presence. However, this power isn't about excluding others. Rather, it's your transparency that surprises them. While some conceal themselves behind well-built walls and use their strength as a shield, you have the guts to show who you really are, flaws and all. On the contrary, this openness is not a sign of weakness. You demonstrate that strength is not derived from maintaining composure or acting indestructible. The ability to accept your shortcomings, own your challenges, and remain steadfast in your convictions is what truly defines strength. Being vulnerable doesn't diminish you. On the contrary, it accentuates your strength in ways that others find difficult to comprehend. Your authenticity is a huge conundrum for people who are used to viewing power as something that needs to be protected, managed, and hidden. How is it possible to be open and powerful at the same time? How can someone acknowledge that they felt lost or hurt while carrying the weight of the world? Your tenderness and scars are badges of glory that redefine what it means to be strong, proving that true strength doesn't need walls. It's really unnerving that you exist outside of their story. Most people go through life believing they are the protagonists of a world that is centered around their particular narrative, aspirations, and goals. However, you are so unnerving because you are not a part of that story. Your life doesn't fit the conventional story points that people are accustomed to, and you don't live according to the script they have written for themselves or anybody else. It's both fascinating and startling that you don't cleanly fit into the roles people expect you to play. Your enigmatic personality contradicts their meticulously crafted worldview. It makes them face the fact that their personal drama is not the center of the world. Your presence serves as a reminder to them that the world is more complex than their own small narrative, and that there are layers beyond the surface. Their sense of order is upset because they are unable to fully classify you into their mental categories. It's an existential crisis for them, not because of anything you've said or done, but just because you're there to remind them that life is more complicated than their story portrays it. You stay in their thoughts long after you've left the room because of this, because you make them face the limitations of their own viewpoint. Whether consciously or unconsciously, they can't stop thinking about you. You serve as a mirror, reflecting the size of a world they have been oblivious to. You are more than simply a background presence. This is your moment. Hit subscribe now and step into something greater. Don't miss out. Without even trying, you are a force that upends the comfort zones of everyone around you. You are a walking enigma. You offer a reflection of what is possible when we stop fitting in, stop following the crowd, and begin living our complete, unreserved truth, challenging the narratives of the world with quiet rebellion and sincerity. You are strong when you embrace vulnerability with the same bravery that you bring to your goals, not when you pretend to be perfect. Without saying a word of rebellion, you challenge labels, arouse obsession, and cause others to reevaluate the institutions they have long depended on. In a society that is fixated on fitting in, your emotional depth and capacity to connect with people on a level they cannot even comprehend leave them enthralled and frequently uneasy. You serve as a reminder that there is strength in being unique, that living is about writing your own tale, one that isn't limited by preconceived notions rather than trying to fit into someone else's. You leave a lasting effect that endures long after you are gone, redefining the world rather than merely existing in it. If you were drawn in by the richness, enigma, and unvarnished genuineness of the topics covered, know that this is only the beginning. You have so much more in store for you, more revelations, more truths, and more potent contemplations that will make you think critically about everything. Join this path of self-discovery, growth, and complete change if you're prepared to continue questioning the status quo and adopting an unconventional viewpoint. You don't want to miss the next thing after all. Let's continue breaking the mold together by subscribing now.